We good?
Oh, yeah, I think so. I think
Okay,
we're
cool.
good.
Yeah, sometimes people are like a little nervous talking about numbers and they don't want to share, but I actually think it's super important to be like transparent about that stuff
Agree.
because it just sets more realistic expectations and also like for some people it could also motivate them, you know?
100%. And I think too, even in salary transparency too. I mean, I
Mhm.
know I would meet prior to owning a business, I worked in, the kind of corporate world, and I would talk to people who were negotiating jobs and I'd be like, ask for more than that. 100% ask for more than that, especially
Mhm.
women too. I mean, historically have been known maybe not to fight as hard. I think that that's changed now, and I hope that that's the case. But
Yeah.
it was always one of my favorite things to do is just push people. What are they going to say?
Yeah.
No.
I mean, exactly. At the end of the day, they'll come back. They'll, if they really like you, they'll negotiate. And like I've had
Exactly.
girlfriends who have such incredible experience who really like shoot for the stars when they're asking for their salaries. And
Hmm.
sometimes, it really is a budget thing within a company, which like
Absolutely.
I respect, like what can you do?
I have hourly maximums if unless I want
Yeah.
to spend, charge $200 for a pedicure, I have a pretty hard ceiling of what I can pay someone, right? So,
Yeah, exactly. I actually want to
mhm.
get into like that stuff. But okay, let's start from the beginning because people are probably like, what the hell are they jabbering about? Okay, so Sam Foley, welcome. I'm so excited to
Thank
have
you.
you. You wear so many hats, so I think you're going to provide a really, really cool perspective to people. Working in the beauty industry as an entrepreneur, registered
Mhm.
nurse, owner of several businesses. Like we have so much to dive into. But I'd love to kind of just get your point of view on like what is it that drove you and drove your passion in the beauty industry specifically.
Yeah, for sure. So, I would say one of my biggest passions is the business of beauty.
Hmm.
So, kind of everything that goes in behind the scenes. I originally started my background, like you said, is in nursing. So, when I first graduated, I worked at a plastic surgeon's office, and that kind of gave me the bug for the sort of medical cosmetic side of things. But from there, I actually got recruited to a pharmaceutical company. So I ended up working there for 10 years, thankfully, because I was able to hold roles in, branding, marketing,
Oh,
budget,
cool. Yeah. Well
project
rounded.
management. So I think that that really set me up to succeed in this type of industry as well.
Hmm.
But basically, what happened is I was working in pharmaceuticals based in Toronto, living in Toronto, and my husband traveled a lot for work. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll do something else, something I can do kind of at night, more than just, going out for dinners all the time and watching Real Housewives, which nothing wrong with. But I was like,
Nothing
oh,
wrong.
I kind of like to be busy, right? So
Yeah.
some of my friends were like, oh my gosh, go and learn how to inject because that would be amazing. So it's like, okay.
And you could
So
easily take
in
that with you like anywhere really and like, do it out
absolutely
of like a home or a small space or rent a space,
100%.
another studio. Yeah, very
Yeah.
flexible.
So 100%. And, just something that I had full control over. I could work kind of as little or as much as I wanted outside of my regular pharmaceutical job, which took up, anywhere from 40 to 60 hours of the week. But so I was like, okay, this is fun. So I ended up taking the course in 2017, doing it for 2 years in Toronto. And then when 2019 hit, I was like, you know what? I'm from around the Bay of Quinte. I know that that's where we're going to end up moving back to, and there's really nothing there like this,
Hmm.
and the value of being first to market is obviously huge.
Yeah.
So I decided, spoke with my partner, and I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to leave my cushy high six-figure job and I'm going to open my own business. And he was like, great, do it.
Yeah. There was no like
So
resistance on his end. He wasn't
no,
like worried or
no, not at all. He was really supportive. And I think he knows that I'm also cautious. So I wouldn't have just been like, oh,
yeah, fair.
today's the day I feel like doing this. Obviously, I put a lot of thought into it, made sure that financially I was set up. I started looking into things, funding, things like that when I still held my job. So I wanted to make sure that, I was really safe. I knew what I was
Hmm.
doing. My father's also an entrepreneur. So I don't think I had any kind of rose colored glasses on when it came to business ownership.
Yeah,
I
you had like
remember,
a realistic perspective.
yeah, I remember traveling when we were younger and we'd be at like the Dominican and our hotel room phone would be ringing. We'd be like, who
What?
is that?
Oh
And
my
like,
God. I
it's his
remember
business.
back
Like
in
they
the
would
day.
track him down.
That's
Yeah.
so crazy. What did he do for work?
He owned a transportation, so school bus, motor coaches and
Okay,
travel
okay.
company. So
Yeah, so they're
yeah, so you
always
had a
moving. No
huge,
days off.
exactly, all always moving. So I definitely had a somewhat realistic, as much as I think you can watching somebody do that. And then, of course, it's just a whole new reality once you actually pull the trigger. But that's sort of how I got there. So again, opened August 2019. And then, as everybody knows, and we've talked to so much, 2020 hit, and being in the
Mm-hmm.
personal care services industry was very interesting. But thankfully, we opened smart, we opened well.
Mm-hmm.
The overhead, thankfully, is a little bit lower in the Bay of Quinte area. So we were able to actually grow through the pandemic, which was huge.
Sick. Yeah,
Mhm,
that's a big
mhm.
deal. So what does your overhead look like? Is it like mainly on rent and equipment? Like for someone
Exactly.
who's unfamiliar maybe with like the beauty industry? Because also actually maybe let's share like what are some of the services that you provide so that people can
Yeah,
get like a holistic view of, let's say,
absolutely.
the Beauty Collective in Belleville, what that
Yeah.
provides.
For sure. So we call ourselves a place of modern medical aesthetics. So we offer really frontline and cutting edge technology. So we have machines by a company called InMode. So that's your Morpheus 8, Forma. These are RF skin tightening. Lumecca, which is an IPL, Diolaze, which is a diode laser hair removal. We have hydrofacial. We have body contouring. And with that, we
Like
can,
top of the line stuff.
top of the line stuff,
Yeah.
like over $1 million in equipment for sure.
Yeah, crazy. How do you
Microneedling,
get that?
PRP, leasing. So those are
Leasing?
leased. Some of them
Okay.
are paid off now, but
Okay.
you take them out on lease. So you put down a down payment. Obviously, you have to qualify,
Yeah.
and then you pay a lease.
That's
100%. I would
that's
never be able
wild.
to just upfront front that
No,
cost.
for
So
sure.
yeah,
Especially as like
yeah,
a first business, if you don't have any kind of funding. Like, did you have investors involved in the beginning?
none.
None.
No, it was just
Okay, so
me.
it was you and then any kind of like loans and stuff that you did specifically
Yeah,
for.
honestly, I took out a $40,000 government loan, and that was it. And
Good.
then from there, I had saved personally as well.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
knew when I kind of started playing with this idea, I started, putting money away. And so I knew obviously from two sides, one, the funding that it would take to open, and
Yeah.
two, supporting myself because as the owner, you pull your salary last, right?
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
needed to make sure
exactly.
that I was steady.
Uh-huh.
So we do that. We do, medical facials, work with medical grade skincare, hair removal, we also have an RMT. We do the Brazilian lymphatic massage, and it's really like a one-stop shop. And we have a boutique hair salon there as well. So just two
Yeah.
stylists, extensions, and high-end color services.
And I remember
Hmm.
when I had moved here a few years ago, kind of just like looking for me, aesthetic makes a big difference. Like the
Hmm.
way that something looks, the brand
Hmm.
obviously being a
Hmm.
branding agency.
For sure,
And
that
so I
makes sense.
remember, so I had, different like practitioners, nurses, whatever, people that I went to go see estheticians in Toronto area.
Hmm.
And there was, a service that I was doing with her there, and she was kind of looking for something here, and she found your studio. And I think that's
Okay.
when I initially, because like I had not really looked when I moved here, and she's like, oh,
Yeah,
you could probably do it here. And like this was the only place in the area that provided
that's
the
it. It
service. And it was, one of those like really high quality machines. I honestly can't even remember what it was because it was
was
3
probably
years
like a
ago.
Forma or something like
Yeah,
that.
one of
Yeah.
those things. One
Yeah.
of those
Yeah.
things. Um, but yeah, and I remember stopping on the website and being like, wow, like this brand is actually pretty cute for Belleville, because I thought like Belleville, Trenton,
That's
like
it. No, I
I,
know.
I didn't have very high expectations. But
Hmm.
honestly, like there have been some brands that have really stepped up in the local area here. And for
Absolutely.
anyone who's like unfamiliar of where we're talking about, it's about like an hour and a half east of Toronto,
Hmm.
this like Belleville, Trenton area. Or if you're familiar with Prince Edward County, it's like just north of Prince Edward County,
Hmm.
because we have some listeners from like all around. So they're probably like, what the
Perfect.
hell is
Yeah.
Belleville?
Where it's definitely a mid-sized market. So,
Yeah.
Belleville, the population's about 50,000.
Hmm.
And that was the whole point of it for the leading up until I opened here. I'd lived in Montreal for 4 years. I lived in Toronto for 9 years. And I knew that people wanted that quality of service and that type of atmosphere. They wanted access to the products here.
Yeah.
And just knowing from growing up in this area, seeing how Belleville has changed, how I could see it changing, the influence of Prince Edward County, I knew that this was the spot to come and,
Hmm.
like I said, really hit and be the first to market with that kind of offering.
And a lot of people are moving here too,
They
especially like with
are.
the increase in like housing prices and stuff. And if you
Absolutely.
think about it, like it is such a big military
We have a
area,
lot of military
they're
clientele.
not from
Absolutely.
here, so a
No.
lot of us come from bigger cities.
Hmm.
Like I'm the prime
Hmm.
example, like
Hmm.
grew up in Montreal, lived in
Hmm.
Toronto.
Hmm.
So, and my husband's the same. And I have so many friends here that it's the same situation. So like coming
Absolutely.
here, it's like, you still want to have the same quality of
Of
services. Like the big
course.
thing that we're missing, I feel, is the restaurants. Like you
I
can go to the
know.
county and I feel like you could find some really nice ones there.
Yeah,
But that's what I miss about being in a big city. It's like everything is so accessible and there are so
I
many like
know.
incredible options.
I know.
Whereas here we're kind of a little bit limited. But that's what kind of comes with being in a small town. And I guess it
For
makes it a
sure.
little more special when we do visit the bigger
Exactly.
cities. Indulge
Exactly.
a little more.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. Anyways, makes total sense. Okay. So you spoke very briefly about, that $40,000
Hmm.
loan that you took. And then you had some personal funds. So like all in
Hmm.
all, what was that first initial investment to open and get the first business off the ground? And how
Yeah.
long did it take before you became profitable?
Yeah. So originally, I knew that based on what I had available, I was going to do it in kind of two phases. So we opened with injectables, hair removal, classic hair removal like waxing,
Hmm.
sugaring, facials, and hydrofacial. So hydrofacial was really our driving technology when we opened. And even with the construction, I knew that I wanted to do a little bit more, but I wanted to come and bring a really solid offering, knowing that I could grow once I had income generated from the
Hmm.
business. So my original investment was probably about 200,000, I would say,
Okay.
all in construction. All of the sorry, just one second. Of course, my tiny dog's going to bark at me right now, like
That's
15
okay.
pounds of sass. So jeez. So around there with everything in, from treatment beds to technology to the build out, staff room, setting everything
Hmm.
up, right? So that was the original investment, and that was in the summer of 2019. And then by the time we were honestly, because I mean, and I'll share it right now. Our rent is $1,800 a month for 1,200 square feet of this
Wow. Yeah. That's
beautiful
like half the price of my 500 square foot condo in Toronto. It was 700
100%,
actually, but still.
and a fraction of what my Picton location costs. I'll be the first
Oh,
to say
yeah.
that.
Oh,
But
for sure.
but
Is
so
it like double in Picton?
it's triple.
Triple? Holy
Hmm.
shit.
Hmm.
Wow, the
Yeah,
county's not messing around.
no, they are not. Um, they sure aren't, but we pay it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean, factor in their TMI and everything too, like all in.
Mm,
It's maybe a little under triple, but it's more than double.
yeah.
So we had that, and I mean, this space is beautiful. I mean, honestly, I think the ceilings are like 20 feet. It had that beautiful, like finished gloss concrete floor, so very much the vibe I was going for.
Yeah.
So, we were profitable quite quickly because our overhead was very low.
Hmm.
Um, and then we opened in August, and then in December of 2019, that's when I started introducing InMode. So the medical technology, InMode being those, more invasive procedures, non-surgical, but go really nice hand in hand with injectables. So
Hmm.
really being able to give someone a full treatment plan and kind of take care of things, building from injections to the quality of skin, as well as I was a practitioner at that point too. I was doing everything from peels to hydrofacials
Of
to
course. Yeah. It's how it is when
injecting,
you
and then
start. Yeah.
obviously in mode, right? So, and I
Yeah.
had time. Oh, and I was working front desk. I was the only front desk
Oh, of
employee.
course.
So, it was great. Actually, no, that's a lie. My 16-year-old cousin was also a front desk employee.
Oh, she
So,
was helping. Yeah.
yeah,
Nice.
she was great. But yeah, um, so we were
So
able to
how,
become profitable quite quickly. Probably
okay.
within the first 2 or 3 months, we saw a
Wow. Yeah, that's
positive
great.
income.
And
Yeah.
then how long before getting that 200,000 investment back?
That took, well, so we it was starting to come back. I was doing my shareholder loan payoff, and then
Hmm.
COVID hit. So
Mm,
everything paused. Thankfully, we were open long enough that we did get rent relief and things like that.
yeah, that's good.
But I mean, realistically, I think I ended up just paying that back very, very recently,
Yeah.
because
But
we were
that's the
impacted for
reality.
2 years by
Yeah.
COVID. And I also
Hmm.
reinvested in Picton. I didn't take any loans out when I expanded to the county. So that was fully
Yeah.
funded by the business and what we were making. So, and because I did like very truthfully have support from my husband too. I was able to keep that money in the business to grow it, knowing that we were pushing forward for,
Hmm.
our ultimate future as well. So super privileged in that sense that I did have a support system at home. So I was
Yeah.
able to play a little bit more with that. So I
Hmm.
think that's something that I absolutely need to acknowledge, because not everybody's in the same position. And
Yeah.
that was a huge privilege that I had.
And to give people some context too, so you own the Beauty Collective, which is, all of those services that you had
Hmm.
described. It's in Belleville, and then
Hmm.
in Prince Edward County, there's an area called Picton, and that's where you opened up a sister location this
Hmm.
year, right?
Hmm.
In
Yeah, it was
2023.
actually, we opened in 2022, fall, like almost a year ago now, like October
Oh, okay.
2022. Yeah, so
Okay.
that's when
I
we
remember it was
first
like near
opened.
the end of the year
It
ish,
was, and we
like
didn't
a
do our grand
soft
opening until the
opening.
spring.
Yeah. Okay,
Exactly.
that's
So
why.
that's why it makes sense
That's
that way.
why. Okay.
Yeah, and that space just made to be a little bit more fun. Not that the Beauty
Hmm.
Collective isn't fun, but we focus on nails and big groups, bachelorette parties, girls'
Yeah,
weekends.
super playful, colorful.
So playful. And then, of course, we still maintain the integrity of services that we have, a little
Hmm.
less on the medical offering side, but we still do have injections. And again, the pillar of the business, which is that InMode technology,
Yeah.
um, there to kind of to cater to our local community there too.
Hmm. Yeah, what's really cool with if some people actually probably I don't know if anyone really knows this. So Nomad Creative actually helped with the branding process of the main
Yeah,
character, which
that's
is
how
the
we
sister
met.
location
Yeah.
in Prince Edward County, and a big part of the brand was inclusivity and making sure
Hmm.
to include people, men, woman, doesn't matter, basically, like
Exactly.
your gender, your size, your color.
Hmm.
Why was inclusivity so important for you to be at the forefront of your
Of course.
businesses?
I mean, of course, I think that, I always say that beauty industry can be a really ugly industry. So people
Hmm.
feel that they have to be, a certain skin type, a certain size, a certain look, a certain income bracket to be able to access any of these services. And, I wanted to make sure that anybody could walk into the clinic and jump on the bed or on the chair or grab a robe or have a machine that works for their skin color, or products and services in their price range, so they can really access those self-care services. And a lot of people now, we really are focusing on skin. Skin health is massively important. Skin is an
Yeah.
organ, our biggest organ that we have. So people are really now, they really want to invest in that. They want to take care of it. So it's important for me to remove as many of those barriers or those feelings of exclusivity, and really creating, I know we worked on this hard, what felt like a very accessible luxury, right? So we
Hmm.
want to give them that experience, but make it accessible to them.
Yeah. No, I love
Hmm.
that. I think it's so important. And when you walk in, the vibe, it's like the mood board came to life.
I
It's
totally did.
so
Yeah.
fun. It's
Yeah.
so like the all the pastels,
Hmm.
the just like the textures in the seats, the
Hmm.
detail, the attention to detail, the gold accents. Like,
Hmm.
guys, if you're around, or even if like you're coming to visit Prince Edward County, you definitely have to stop at the main character. Not that the Beauty Collective isn't also great, but like the
It's
main
amazing.
character is an experience.
It's an
It's an
experience. It's a
experience.
destination. It's
Yeah.
the Beauty Collective kind of holds your hand in a treatment journey, and we can absolutely do that, the main character too. But it's also set up for you just to have a really fun day
Yeah. And
or
there's like a
weekend.
full
Or
bar and everything. You
there's a
have really cool
bar. Yep.
cocktails.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, it's a good time all around.
Hmm. Hmm.
So you have these two locations. I see that you're involved in a lot of other projects too. Do you want to talk
Yeah.
about that a little?
Yeah. So at the end of last year, I had two physicians approach me from Toronto who said, we want to get into the medical aesthetic space. We'd really like to hire you on as a consultant. And I was like, oh, okay. And this was coming off of just opening the main character, right? So
Right.
the idea behind the main character and changing up the branding was that the plan was to maybe take the main character and either expand it or franchise it with a
Right.
little bit of a lower overhead that we talked about at the Beauty Collective, with the full range of machines that they have there. It's not
Hmm.
realistic for somebody to open up a franchise and then invest, $750,000 into equipment off it's
Yeah.
just not replicable, right? So
Hmm.
the idea was to open this up, something we could sort of copy and paste and move beyond. Um, and so I had just done that. And I said to them full out, I said, yes, I'm absolutely open to consulting. Also, at that point, a nice cash infusion would have been right. So when you're
Yeah.
self-funded, it was like, yes,
No problem. I'll
absolutely.
take the money.
I'll
What do you
take
want to
it.
know?
exactly. But I was like, to be completely transparent with you, my plan is to eventually expand into the GTA as well. So
Yeah.
it's probably not going to be next year. It's probably not going to be the year after, but it is coming. So I want to be, make sure that there's no conflict of interest here. I'm coming.
Yeah.
Just when.
Yeah.
So they were like, okay, yeah, no problem. So we started chatting and kind of going through their needs, and they were just like, listen, we just want to make you a partner. So instead of competing with each other, let's do it. We'll split it completely equally. All three of us have equal stake, and
Cool.
you'll run the show. And I was like, okay. So I was like,
Wait, but how does that work
like,
then? If you're like running the show, but you're all equal partners.
yeah.
How does
So
that
they put
work?
in all the money, and I put in the
Oh,
sweat
okay.
equity. Yeah.
Damn.
So yeah.
Shit, I don't know which one's worse.
I know. Right now, I could tell you which one's worse, but once we get a few open,
Oh my
won't
gosh.
be
Okay,
as
wait,
bad.
but like everything, they're not supporting at all. They're really like a bank.
So not 100%. No, they're actually really unreal partners, and I pinch
Yeah.
myself all the time. Like, how
Yeah.
did this just fall into my lap, right?
How did they find you actually? That is a good
So
question.
one of the doctors, his friend was my medical director.
Oh,
So
well,
he
there
was
you
like,
go.
Adam, how do
Yeah.
you do this? And he was like, I just kind of show up. Sam is the mastermind. I'll connect the two of
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And I remember I checked out totally for my birthday last year. My birthday's in November. I went to Bermuda. Bermuda is like my happy place on the planet.
Nice.
I
Oh yeah, you go
absolutely love it
often?
there. I go often. Yes.
Oh, sweet.
It's so close, 2.5 hour flight. Like
Oh, I didn't realize how close it was.
yeah, it's just out from South
Well,
Carolina. So
oh.
yeah, so I go quite often. And it was my birthday, and I was just kind of like reflecting on my year and just manifesting everything that I wanted for the upcoming
Mm-hmm.
year. And this like Toronto number kept calling me, and I was like, what is going on? So like finally answered it like by the pool. I think it was like 3 frozes. And I was like, hello.
Three froze.
Hi.
It's hilarious.
And so we had a lovely conversation, and then we set up something formal after that. But
Yeah.
so
They're like,
they
wow,
help.
she's so happy.
Yeah, she's so lovely.
What a
On
giddy
this
girl.
random Friday afternoon in November. So it was good. They help with real estate acquisition.
Okay.
One of the physicians is a radiologist. And he has scaled and grown a bunch of businesses. He had a massive one that he eventually sold. He also owns Blondie's Pizza in Toronto. If you've ever eaten there, I would also completely recommend it. When I lived in Toronto, I lived right by one, so I ate it all the time. I was like,
oh yeah,
one of my favorite pizzas when I lived in Leslieville. So, he's really, really strong on the business and scaling side.
Yeah.
And then the other physician's really strong. He's done a lot of investing into some really impressive companies. So they really understand scaling, the legal side of scaling. They are really, really equipped with strong legal teams and things like that. So they do bring a ton of value beyond just an investment. And honestly, they're also just genuinely great people. So we all get along really well. We're all really passionate and really driven. So
that's important for sure.
It is really nice actually to have a partner too, because, I'm so lucky to be surrounded by a really strong corporate team in Belleville. I've set myself up really nicely. So I do feel like I have true partners and true support.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just a little bit different when, you're all kind of equally at risk, if that makes sense. So
yeah, no, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can totally see where I would probably enjoy that too. But I also really love doing my own thing for I think less so on the like I probably wouldn't want to give away any equity. I've never been in that situation where I'd have to do that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I probably don't know, and I would never say never until like maybe that situation presented itself and I would kind of like weigh the options. But to have someone to kind of like consult and lean on, and like you said, like the one who has like a lot of experience in scaling and legal, like all of these things, like I've had questions where I've had to kind of just like figure shit out or pay people to help me instead of like knowing that you can just go to them and they have the answers, which is really cool. So from like a scaling perspective, I mean, maybe they have the answers more than you, but I'm sure you've learned a few things.
Definitely.
Like what does that look like in terms of like future, like planning, projecting, like what do you guys like have in store.
Yeah, I can definitely fill you in. So the nice thing too, in working with them, is I still own 100% of the Beauty Collective and the main character. So they
Yes.
didn't take any equity from that.
Good. Yeah.
We started a completely separate corporation, so it's everything from here moving forward,
Okay.
is
Oh,
with
okay.
them.
So even your future stuff.
Hmm.
Okay. I thought
Yeah.
maybe you would still do like a thing separate. Okay. No. Okay. This makes
Yeah.
sense. Got
So
it.
this is where I'll put all of my future expansion into.
Yeah.
And that was kind of it. They didn't want to consult me and then compete with me. So it was like, okay, moving forward, let's do it
Yeah.
together. The
Because
power
then,
between all of us versus,
yeah, if they're
yeah,
utilizing a lot of your resources because you've made a lot of connections, whether it's like in construction
that's
and, trainers, whatnot, like there's
all
a
my
lot that goes into
accounts,
it.
right? So just
Mm-hmm.
the loyalty I have built up, the education I have built
Mm-hmm.
up, all of that. So definitely, preferred pricing that I have. Now I'm doing bulk ordering, right? So there's buying group
Oh, yeah.
power.
True.
So
Mm-hmm.
leveraging all of those accounts and all of the relationships that I've made over the past 4 years, that do take a lot of time and a lot of spending. Um, so I think that, yeah, definitely, it definitely brought a lot of advantage to them if they were going into this industry anyways. So, and I think that they recognized that quickly, which was nice. So, yeah, so the plan is we're actually opening up our first location end of next week in Forest Hill. So we'll open 3 locations this year, one in Forest Hill, one in
Wow, that's
Leslieville, and one
nuts.
in Queen
I have to
West.
say, good for fucking you.
Thanks, man.
Honestly,
Thank
like
you.
that really is something. Like I just saw the work that went in on your end, in the behind the scenes. I wasn't even really that involved, but because
Hmm.
we were working with the branding with you, like I
Hmm.
saw how much work you were putting in following your journey on social media just for that
Hmm.
one location. I can't even
Yeah,
imagine 3. Like
it's
that is
crazy.
just
And
so
then we're hoping to
impressive.
add, we're already looking for spaces for at least 7 next year.
Oh, what?
So, yeah, so
How?
we're planning, yeah, I don't know. This is a great
Okay, wait.
question.
Okay, wait. But then I have a question now in terms
Yeah.
of like that seems like a lot.
Yeah, it's a
So
lot.
is is there a market for all of these locations? Because there are other
Totally.
spas
Oh,
and
there's
you
a
know what I
spa
mean?
everywhere you look, and I think that that was a huge part of it, is what kind of unique selling proposition are we bringing to the
Yeah.
table? And
Yeah.
honestly, we're coming in very genderless, very sleek, and the idea is to build out this space where you can come in. All of our facial offerings are open air. So you're not going into a treatment room, changing into a robe, listening to your Zen music.
Oh.
It's
Okay.
very much like like we call it like a pit crew. So we're working on your goals. You still have top of the line treatments, but all the fluff is removed. And when I think back to when I was just a consumer, I didn't want to go in and, undress and throw on a robe. I wanted to get my hydrofacial. I wanted to go next door and get my Botox, and I wanted to hit the road because I
Mhm.
had to get back to work, which is why I had the money to spend on
Mhm.
things like this, right?
Right.
So this is creating this very kind of cool space to come in where you still get top of the line professionals, top of the line treatments, top of the line products, but we can get you in and get you out. And because of that, we see more people a day, which also means now it comes at a savings, right? Because
Mhm.
it all comes toward into our overhead. So we can charge, we can see a few more people. So it's a really, really intentional service offering. We're bringing people through, still providing them a great experience, but removing the fluff that people don't always want to pay for. And if they want to,
Mhm.
great. Go to one of the 14 other medical spas within
Yeah.
6 blocks. And
Yeah.
that's great.
And
Please
and
do.
does that reflect in like the price point too?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So the price point is a lot more competitive. We also need to be cognizant of the economic world that we live in right now, where we
Mhm.
are entering into a tough time, but people still do have value on this type
Yeah.
of thing. So we're going to be able to create that really great experience with those great results with a little bit less of a frilly offering at a better price point.
I can totally appreciate that though, because honestly, like if I my manicure pedicure, there was this one
Hmm.
place that I used to go to in Toronto. I was in and out mani pedi like under an hour and a half. It was
Right. And
magical. Here, it's like an hour and a half just to do a freaking pedicure.
I
I'm
know
like,
it is.
no, like I bring
No,
my
I know.
laptop every single time because
You
it's like,
have to.
listen, as much as I want to like sit and enjoy the luxury, like there are some times where I do that and it is intentional. But if you're going
Absolutely.
frequently and it's just like maintenance and because like you want to, not have like crusty toes.
That's
Like you
it,
just
right?
want to get in and out. It's like,
Yeah.
listen, I don't want to fucking cut my own toenails and paint them and this and that. It's like, could you just do it like
No,
fast and
no.
well and not make me sit there for an hour and a half,
Mhm.
please? Thank
I
you.
know. And for me, if I'm going to do that, I'm going to the Ritz, I'm going to the Four Seasons, I'm
Yeah.
going to the Nordique. If
Do
I'm
it.
going to
Yeah.
do and have a day, I'm
Hmm.
going beyond that. I'm going to go and spend my money and
Hmm.
like a very bougie atmosphere, right? So it's just, and it doesn't really exist. And there's not the quality plus the time. The sort of quick turnaround doesn't really exist. And it's Toronto. Everyone is
Yeah.
short on time. Everyone just wants to get back to their life, as well as the fact that we're creating what we're calling like membership your way. We're also launching this at the Beauty Collective next month. But instead of your classic Medi Spa or spa that has a membership where every month, you pay this amount, you get a facial, and, that's it, right?
Hmm.
But it feels like another thing on your to-do list. So you feel like you have to go get a facial that month. The end of the month is coming. You're like, shit, I have to go in and get my facial. I'm going to lose
Hmm.
it. And now you're going in for your facial and you're like, oh my God, what time is it? I have to go. I have to leave. I have to be somewhere. And for myself too, and I know for a lot of other people, I can make a plan for 4 weeks from now, but can I fulfill it? 90% chance, no, I can't, because something insane is going to happen that day that I have to deal with. Right. So
Yeah.
it's just like, it's really hard to commit to that. So we're launching called Membership Your Way, where it's just $99 a month. And that $99 you could contribute for 5 months. And then all of a sudden you have $600, which you can use towards any service that you want.
At
And
any
on top of
time over
that, at
that time
any
period.
time, you could use it
Right.
every single month. You could not use it for 2 years and use it all at once. It's yours. It sits there. It never expires. And, and then it's just not another thing on your to-do list.
Yeah.
It's
No, I
your
love
money,
that
your
because
way.
like sometimes like actually usually depending if you're going for like a few things, then
Mhm.
you'll spend more than $99 anyway,
Exactly.
right? So it's like so what if like you skip a month and then like you do like two things or three
Exactly.
things and like get a massage plus a pedicure or whatever. Yeah, that
Exactly.
that makes a lot of sense. Really
Yeah.
cool. Cool
Yeah.
concept. I
And
haven't
it
heard of that.
also gives access to concierge. We're going to have extended hours for our members, as well as educational sessions and events and product launches they'll have first access to. So we really want people to feel like they're a part of it, but it's not working against them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Makes total sense.
Mhm.
I literally just like spaced out thinking like when's my next pedicure? I'm sitting here and I'm like, wait a second, I really need a pedicure.
Yeah. Need to do it.
Okay,
Need to
wait.
book
So
it.
my question was, so with
Yeah.
these new partners,
Yes.
is it one name and franchise that you're gonna keep
Yeah.
opening up? Are they gonna
Yeah.
be different names, same branding?
It's
Like, what's the
all going
deal?
to be the same name, same branding. We want to build
Okay.
build that brand awareness,
Do we have
obviously.
it? Is it
We
is it
do. It's called the Scene Medical Beauty Bar.
okay? Cool. And so it's
So
gonna be the scene everywhere, and it'll be like the
everywhere.
scene Belleville, the
Yeah.
scene
Yeah.
Montreal, whatever. Yeah.
Exactly.
Cool.
Exactly. So we actually were going to take the main character, but when we were working together, I was working with a lawyer as well because
Hmm.
the idea was to franchise it, right?
Yeah.
He cleared the name, no problem. Okay, so
Yeah.
I sent it to him once we got on the same page, once we came to it, sent it over to him. He sent it back. Yep, no problem. And then we went to use the main characters. We were going to use everything the same
Yeah.
branding, the same name, the same absolutely everything. That was the
Yeah.
plan. We were going
Okay.
to adjust the concept based on the concept that I just talked about, but
Right.
we were going to utilize everything the same. The lawyer didn't do the due diligence, and guess who owns the main character? Aritzia. They own the rights to that phrase.
No way.
Yeah.
How does
So,
that work, owning rights to things? Like, but you're still
yes,
allowed the name, right?
they could technically come in and take it away in Picton too if they wanted to.
No way.
And I was like, once we scale to that level, yeah, Aritzia is
Yeah,
going to come after us,
for sure.
obviously.
For
They're not
sure.
going to come after my single point in
Yeah,
Picton.
you're
But
probably safe, but that's
so I said
crazy.
to
Like
him, I was like,
what
we
did
were
he look
talking about
up?
this.
Yeah, like what did he look up if he didn't catch this the first time?
He goes, I just didn't think you'd scale to that level.
Oh, rude. So rude. Oh
I
my
was like,
God.
okay, you
No
do,
way.
bro. Bye. But fired him on the spot, moved over to their lawyers, which we should have done at the get-go anyways, but
Oh my God. I'm speechless. I can't believe
hmm
it.
hmm
That is wild.
yeah, so I was like, okay, cool. So anyways, that's sort of the conundrum of why I now have 3 names, but I just wanted to have 2.
Yeah, that's okay though. But it,
Yeah,
it kind of
it's
makes
fine.
sense this way because you have those two that you own,
And
and
they're
then the
mine.
rest is like
Exactly.
is shared.
Exactly.
So it works. It makes
It's fine.
sense.
No regrets, honestly. It's just like, it's funny though, right? Like people don't always believe. They don't see your vision. They
Yeah.
don't,
Oh, for sure.
um,
You'll have that all the time. But it's
oh,
like you think
100%.
like you're paying a freaking lawyer. It's like at least
Thousands
give
of
me the
dollars.
information, to say like, yeah, you're good with one location, but if you expand, like the fact that he didn't
That's
even
all I
share that
wanted to hear.
information with you,
Yeah.
it's like
Was like,
what am I
you're
paying you
good.
for?
You're fine.
Yeah. Hmm.
Anyways,
Not fair.
not fair. But
Anyways,
hey,
you
funny
prove him
story
wrong.
now. And a good feeling.
Yeah. You keep proving him
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
have you faced like what would you say is like one of the biggest like challenges or hurdles that you've faced? I mean, I know you say you fight fires all the time, but like what's
Yeah.
been one of the biggest ones that maybe you could
Yeah.
share with us?
I mean, I think my biggest one right now, and if you spoke to anybody in this area, would be staffing.
Mm,
Belleville, we're fully set, but Prince Edward County, well, it's only 35 minutes away. I drive from the Belleville clinic to the Prince Edward County one, 35 minutes.
yeah.
It's impossible to staff. It's just, I've been struggling. I've had one kind of consistent person there since we've opened. Thankfully, some of the estheticians and medical estheticians in Belleville have been good enough to support and go there 1 day a week. But we're looking like we're finally on the other side of it.
Yeah.
We've just hired 3 or 4 new ones because realistically, if I could have a staff of 10 or 12 there, I would be laughing.
Hmm.
But I have 3 and
Right. So you're
that's
kind
it.
of limited in what you can provide
Mhm.
and
We're
how often
100%
or how
booked, but
long you're
it's
open.
one person.
Right.
So
Yeah.
your income potential is nothing. So there's months there where we're barely breaking even though we're 110% booked because they'll work
Hmm.
a little bit late.
Hmm. Is
Like,
is
so
there
it's,
is there something in your process in like the early phases where you do the research and you see like because I wouldn't have even thought to consider that, but obviously it's
mhm.
important when you have a business that relies on staff for income, right?
Yeah.
So is that something that you thought or considered
It was
or will
something
in the
I
future,
thought
I
would
guess?
be a struggle.
Mm-hmm.
We bring a good offering to the table for our staff. We pay as well as we can. Obviously there's a window, like I said, we can't be paying our front desk $25 an hour. I would love to,
Mm-hmm.
but
Of
I
course.
can't,
Yeah.
you look at the banks, they're paying minimum wage, hotels are paying minimum wage. I don't
Yeah.
pay anyone minimum wage, but it's like I would love to do more, but it's hard. We also offer benefits to our full-time employees that are
Oh,
no
very nice.
employee contribution. So we cover them 100%. We offer a lot of training, growth. We have a really strong social team. So, we bring a really good offering to the table. But at the end of the day, and I think, across the service industry from hospitality to personal care services in the county specifically, there's no housing or housing costs the same as it does in Toronto. So how can
Mm-hmm.
somebody be paid
And
$20
it's
an
a lot
hour
of
or
like older
$18 an
people,
hour?
no? Like, isn't the
It
demographic
is.
a lot older? So
It
unless
is.
they're kids or teenagers or
Yeah, it
something, might
is.
be able
There
to
is
pick
a
up some
good,
shifts.
we're honestly finding like a good kind of middle ground from a clientele perspective. But yeah, a
Okay.
lot of people who live in Prince Edward County, they work virtually or they go into the city one day back to Toronto or
Yeah.
Ottawa or Montreal, even 1 or 2
Hmm.
days a week or a month or a week a month, or they're splitting their time. So there's a lot of people that are living there that aren't actually working there.
Mm.
Um, as well. So, I mean, great from a clientele perspective. But when it comes to employees, honestly, what we're doing now is we're just working really closely with St. Lawrence College. And 2 of my employees now are students that we're
Oh,
training
cool.
concurrently while they're in school. Thankfully, we found a new esthetician that was new to the area, and then now another one. Some people looking to change up positions from other spas that are maybe further away from a driving perspective. So those are kind of the ones that we've been able to work with. But that has been and continues to be a challenge
Hmm.
in that area, just accessing
Yeah.
staff. Hmm.
Yeah, and honestly, maybe you'll see a shift now too, now that like summer's over, because
Hmm.
I for at least from like a client perspective, like it was very quiet for us this summer, and I've spoken to other agency
Hmm.
owners, and they were like, it was quite like if in the 5.5 years that I've been in business with Nomad Creative, like
Yeah,
this has to have been like the quietest summer. I was like, where did everybody
I
go?
know. I know.
But now,
It
like, I
was.
have been nonstop for the last like 2-3 weeks and like a good nonstop, honestly, because like I
Yeah,
came
for
back from
sure.
my trip, like I was
Yes.
traveling, and now I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm good. I'm ready to go. Because to be honest, I was also like chilling this summer. So
Yeah.
I'm not mad about it.
Yeah, it's fine.
I'm like, it's quiet. Oh, okay. I'm
Yeah.
just going to go on another trip.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. No,
Yeah.
it's yeah, I totally agree. And I think we've already started to see that. We've just hired someone this week. We've hired
Hmm.
somebody else for front desk. Like so it's just it's moving now. People are like, "Oh, fall's here." It's almost like a new year without being a new year. It's the new season, right? It's
I
like
think
summer
people are
fun's gone
mhm.
and time to focus again.
Yeah, I feel like people are always more active in like the fall over the new year. I feel
Mhm.
like it's a little tough to like the Christmas, the holidays,
I
all that
know.
stuff. Half the
Yeah.
people aren't working. And then like coming back in January, things are very slow.
Mhm.
And I found a lot of like marketing departments looking at their budgets now for next
Mhm.
year, you know? So this is where they're starting to like to reach out and chat and look for options for their initiatives, whether it's now
Yeah.
or in the new year. Like this is where they're
Mhm.
having their conversations, is like in September, October, November.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Wow. This has been great. Honestly,
Oh, yeah.
I have to say, so I had prepared a bunch of questions and I didn't even really look at them because you were so engaging and I just like they naturally came up and I was like, I just want to know. I just want to know because you're
Yeah.
you're such a freaking business extraordinaire. I'm honestly so inspired by you.
Oh,
Keep
that's so
killing
sweet.
it.
Thank you.
I can't wait to cheer you on as you open up
Thank
these
you.
other locations. And of course, like I'm always, stopping by, peeking my head in wherever we
Yes,
could
of
see each other,
course.
whether it's networking
Absolutely.
events. We were even in Rome at
Absolutely.
the same time, like
We were.
weird. Did you
That was
follow me?
insane. Yes, I did. I was there. Actually, that was such a quick trip. I went for a wedding. I was only there for 5
Okay.
days, including travel. So I was gone only
Oh
5
yeah.
days. It was really quick, but it was one of my sister's best friend's weddings and it was like
Oh,
the
so
most
sweet.
gorgeous experience ever.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm glad that I did it because I'm not great at taking time for myself. So it is funny, and it's so kind when I get feedback. Like people are like, "Oh, you inspire me." Like so much work. And that's the one thing I always want to be so transparent about is, I
Mhm.
say, "Oh, I'm so lucky because the investors found me and da da da," but it's like I work probably and it's not something to be proud of. I don't wear it like a badge of honor. I'm not like, "Oh
Mhm.
yeah, I work so hard." I'm like, I gotta sort my shit out. This is too much, girl.
Yeah.
I probably work anywhere between like 90 and 110 hours a week,
Yeah,
moving
I know.
everything
That's
forward.
crazy. Honestly, like good
Yeah.
for you. I feel like I could never do that. Honestly, just like
Yeah.
psychologically, mentally, I would
Yeah.
die. So like
Yeah.
kudos to you, but also don't
It's
forget to
not
take that
sustainable.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
don't forget to take that time for yourself
It's
and like
not.
really chill and
Yeah.
do your trips. Go back to Bermuda for a
Yeah.
bit. Don't answer your
Exactly.
phone
I
next
know.
Actually, maybe you should answer
Maybe
your
I
phone
should
because
answer my phone.
yeah, that was a pretty good opportunity that came from
Yeah.
that. But anyways,
Yeah.
you get my
Yeah.
point. Take care of
No, for
yourself,
sure. But it's always something I want to be so transparent about because it's just
Mhm.
like people see the growth and it's quick and it's,
Mhm.
everything's a highlight reel, right? So it seems like,
But you're
oh, and
like, I
now I'm
don't
in
sleep.
Italy. And now I'm like, no, and you're like, oh, I'm going to, like, tell my husband, I think I'm just going to snooze for like 20 more minutes in the morning. And like my phone rings and I'm like, boom, out of bed,
Never
like
mind.
off to my office. So it's just, it's as much as it's exciting and it's so fun and I love it and I love the growth and I love the
Mhm.
strategy and it looks like so many tangible things are coming to life. Like it's not without a lot of sacrifice too, or a lot of
Mhm.
stress or a lot of time. And what I know will be an intense year to build for my future, right? So
Absolutely.
once
Yeah.
we have the first few locations open, it becomes very copy and paste, and that's the whole point. Is whatever one you
Yeah.
walk into, you want it to feel the same, right? So
Yeah.
I know right now is the time where I am keeping, my foot to the pedal 100%. But it is something that whenever someone's like, "Wow, how do you do it?" I'm like, it's incredibly difficult and it's really hard
Mhm.
and it takes up a lot
Mhm.
of my life and I sacrifice a lot. Like not
Yeah.
to just like dump on them, but
Yeah.
it's not so it's actually something that I think I'm going to be starting in the next couple of weeks. I'm kind of working on this almost like Instagram series that I call Building Beauty. So to
Mhm.
really document everything that goes into it
Yes.
so
That's
people
gonna be so
see
cool.
that, it's not golf games and trips to Italy. It's, it's like very intentional carved out time so I don't go absolutely
I think that
crazy.
would do really well. I really do
Yeah.
think that would do really well because
Yeah.
people, like, at least for me, like, and that's one of the reasons why I started this podcast is to get a bit of that behind the scenes look of,
Mhm.
what entrepreneurs are doing in different industries, different types of businesses,
Mhm.
how they're scaling, if they're choosing to stay small, if they're working
Mhm.
alone, if they're working, like, there's so many different, like, ways, and every single person that I've spoken to is doing something different. There may be some
Absolutely.
parallels, but
Yep.
like everyone kind of has their own way. And when you said about like the whole like copy paste thing, I totally resonate with that, because as
Mhm.
I've been removing myself from doing like the day-to-day stuff in the business, I've really had to make sure that my clients would still have the same experience. So like
Exactly.
when you're the one involved in doing it, you're like, oh, I know what I'm doing. I know what my process
Mhm.
is. But it's like the second someone else comes in and is now doing that job for you, or if they leave and someone else comes, we need to have that consistency. And it's super important. So
Mhm.
like it's a lot of work up front, very similar to
And
what you're
that's where I am
doing.
right now,
Yeah,
right? So
that's it.
it's
It's a lot of work up front.
yeah.
It's a lot of setup.
Yeah.
It's a lot of behind the scenes, but
Mhm.
like you, I too, I do get excited about putting it together, knowing that it's just going to create so much more of a smoother process moving forward.
Mhm.
There will
Mhm.
always be things to tweak. There will be always things to, improve upon and
Oh, for
listen
sure.
as feedback comes
Always.
in. But
Mhm.
ultimately, if you're putting in some kind of like rubric and structure so that, you can have that same quality
Mhm.
experience for
Mhm.
your clients, that's where you're winning at the end of the day. So
Exactly.
hang in there, sister.
I will. I'm gonna move from my right now I'm surviving. Soon I'll be living, then I'll be thriving. So
Oh, oh wow, what a
that's
saying.
it. Yeah. That's therapy.
Sam, that's therapy. Yeah,
That's
therapy
therapy
too.
for you.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
all these
Do
things
that.
plus therapy, don't forget that.
Yeah. Don't forget that.
Um I want to end this podcast episode with what I call the mindful minute, where
Okay.
you leave our listeners with a piece of advice based on your experience in life and work so far. What is one thing that you want to share with people?
I think the one thing that I would like to share, and it's something that I hold on to all the time, is that, you know, the only person that puts or should be putting limitations onto you is yourself. So don't tell big ideas to small minded people,
Oof.
because it's so easy to have something deflated or to end up not living something out or taking something to its full potential. If you know and if you believe, of course, there's going to be setbacks. And of course, there's going to be changes in the path or maybe changes in how you get somewhere. But
Hmm.
it's so important that if you have a true belief and you truly know where you want to be and you know what you can bring, that you put all of your energy and your effort into getting there and surround yourself with the people that believe in you and that are going to help you get there.
I have goosebumps. Straight up
That's
have
funny.
goosebumps.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. It's also true. I totally agree. I
Mhm.
totally resonate. It's like that freaking lawyer that didn't believe that you would
There you go.
expand
See? Big
and be
idea,
more than
small
one
minded
location.
person.
Bye. We don't have
Bye.
time for you.
Bye bye. See you later.
Oh, amazing. It has
Yeah.
been so amazing having you on the
Yeah.
podcast, Sam.
Thank
Where can
you.
everyone find you on social
Yes.
media?
So you can follow me on social media at Sam Foley, SammFoley. And that's where you'll see a lot of behind the scenes, where I'll be launching the Building Beauty series in the coming weeks. You can see sort of everything that goes into it. You can also find us at the Beauty Collective by Inject and at the Scene Medical Beauty Bar. So, and the main character
And the main
PEC.
character.
So
You're
many
like, shit, how
things. Oh
many?
my gosh.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness. I
can't keep
also
up.
have a website that I share a lot of skincare tips and a lot of behind the scenes as well, which is just samfoley.com. So
Very
a
cool.
lot going
Very
into that with
cool.
the Building Beauty series as well.
We'll
So
link
yeah.
all of those things in the
Oh,
show notes
wonderful. I'll
because
send you my,
because
my
people are
list.
probably going to be like, okay, wait, pause, rewind, like take note, take note, take. So it'll all be linked there for easy access.
Perfect.
But that's it, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this episode and got some insight on what it's like to build a business and franchise and scale and all the fun things. I look forward to connecting with you guys next week. Bye.